Tuesday, June 8th.
Friends share secrets. That's what keeps us close.
A new ABC Family original series.
Allie?
She's gone.
I think I heard her scream.
Pretty Little Liars was a very important show in my childhood. I think it really shaped my obsession with horror and mystery and thriller and slashers that I love so much today. And I know that Pretty Little Liars actually isn't very scary, but I think it was a great introduction in my childhood to like spooky things. Pretty Little Liars premiered in 2010 on ABC to immediate success. Viewers were drawn to the show's blend of mystery, teen drama, and its unique spooky elements that really set it apart from other teen dramas at the time. What kept people coming back, though, was the show's central mystery in its first few seasons. What happened the night Allison Dilaurentis disappeared? We don't learn actually fully what happened the night Allison disappears until like season 6, but throughout the show you get like little pieces of the puzzle revealed to you. Like there'll be flashbacks that reveal something small about that night, but it's all out of order and it's all from different people's perspectives. So it's hard to make like a clear point A, point B, this is what happened that night. So like 5 years ago when I was rewatching the show for probably my 20th time, I decided I was gonna keep a notebook with me as I was watching it, and I would write down every time anything was revealed about that night, and then when I was done, I would try to put it in order and make it make sense, a cohesive story. So that is what this is. I did write this like 5 years ago, and at the time that I wrote this, nobody on YouTube had done a video like this, and now I've seen like 10, but I haven't watched them because I was like, I don't want it to skew, like, I don't even know if mine is right, but I put so much brain power into this that I want like my timeline to be the timeline. This show is so weird and complicated, and not in a smart way, just in the way that the writers were making it up as it was happening. So it gets so confusing and messy. All right, so before I actually get into the timeline of what happened that night, I feel like it's important to give some background information about like all the characters and stuff, because it'll be really confusing. There's so many people and places and things going on that it's just so confusing if you don't know what I'm talking about. So let's get into it.
Got a secret, can you keep it? Swear this one you'll save. Better lock it in your pocket, taking this one to the grave. If I show you, then I know you won't tell what I said. 'Cause
The truth won't stay buried forever. Pretty Little Liars. Only on Viva.
Okay, so the story obviously centers around a girl named Allison Dilaurentis in the fictional town of Rosewood, Pennsylvania. Rosewood throughout the show is like characterized to be this like really small town run on like gossip and secrets and blackmail. Like everyone in the town is like everyone has a secret. Like throughout the show there'll be all these like background characters, and they always come back later and they always have some weird shit going on, and everything connects. So Allison is the most popular girl at Rosewood High School, but she's more than just like a regular like Regina George. Like she's actually evil, and it's really scary. Not only is she like giving the kids her age a hard time and like just being like a school bully, she's like actively blackmailing and intimidating and manipulating the adults in the town, and she's like 14. One of Allie's biggest victims is Mona Vanderwall. Allie's always giving Mona a hard time. She nicknames Mona Loser Mona, and everyone at school calls her that. That does some serious psychological damage to Mona, and Mona has a psychotic break and becomes A. Big spoiler, sorry. Yeah, Mona is A. Mona's the first A, there's 3. Bruh. Mona is incredibly smart, and she's like shown throughout the show to be like actually a genius. And she uses this to her advantage and like basically becomes like the ultimate stalker.
Oh my god, bro. Oh hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on.
And uses the rest of their, I don't know, this starts in like 2008, their freshman year, to like learn everything she can about Allison. She starts gathering all this information, and she starts texting Allison like anonymous threats from A in October 2008. Their freshman year is the first A text.
Oh my god, bro. Oh hell no.
So let's get into the main 4 girls, Allison's friend group.
Every Monday, ABC Family is all new, all night. And this Monday,
People lie. Hello?
So let's start with Aria. At this time, Aria has like her most like defining feature is that she has like pink stripes in her hair, and that gets brought up for like 6 seasons. Like God forbid a girl go a little emo. So Aria's big secret drama thing she has going on is that after school one day, her and Allison were walking home and they see her dad's car parked in the bushes, and they like kind of like peer inside, and Arya's dad, a college professor, is making out with one of his students. Ew! Disgusting. Arya starts freaking out, obviously, and Allison's like, you have to tell your mom. You can't keep this from your mother. And then Arya's like, yeah. But later, her dad corners her and like makes Arya swear never to tell her mother. So Arya's like basically in the middle of it. Like, she knows that her dad is cheating on her mom with like a 20-year-old, and she's like not supposed to tell her, but Allison knows. So Allison starts like holding this over Arya's head and like making Arya do stuff so that, and she's like, if you don't do what I say, I'm gonna tell your mom, and she would hate hearing it from me. Like, evil girl. Okay, next is Emily. Emily at this time is a closeted lesbian, and she is in love with Allison. Allie would take advantage of this and kiss Emily and like basically emotionally manipulate Emily into doing her bidding, and just like always keeping Emily like wrapped around her finger because she knew that like Emily was like in love with her. Spencer at this time kind of has the most going on of all of the girls. At this time, Spencer is very addicted to Adderall, and she blacks out for big periods of time because she's like, she has so many drugs in her system, and she doesn't sleep because she's always like on speed. She is also keeping the secret of her affair with Ian Thomas, who is her older sister's fiance. This causes a big feud with Allie, and Spencer doesn't really understand why Allie's so mad, but we find out later that Allie is also having an affair with Ian. So Spencer like won't tell Melissa, and Allie basically holds that over her head all summer and is like, I'm gonna tell Melissa that you kissed Ian. Okay, so Hannah is best friends with Mona. So Mona is not included in the group and Hannah is, and Allison always makes sure Hannah knows that and remembers that they're including her even though she's a loser and she's fat. That's like Hannah's big thing back then, is that Allison like really bullied Hannah because of her weight, and Allison actually gave Hannah an eating disorder. Okay, Ian, who we were just talking about, Ian Thomas, Jason DeLaurentis, Allie's older brother, and Garrett, another guy in their grade, formed a club their senior year of high school called the NAT Club. Now, I'm not going to pronounce this right, but NAT stands for Nos, let me pull up my notes, Nos Animadverto Totus, which means we see all in English. They formed this club as kind of like a, I don't know, they never really talk about it, but in my eyes, they formed it as like a moral, like they're on the moral high ground, like they're just there to like expose and document all of the lies and corruption going on in Rosewood. So basically, these three guys film and catalog everybody's secrets in the town. Like, for example, they have a video of Jenna Marshall and Toby Kavanaugh, who are step-siblings, hooking up. Not good. Not a thing that you would want to have out there. And Allison knew about these videos because she was dating Ian and obviously her older brother's in the club. So Allie was like very clued in on what was going on with the NAT Club videos. Okay, Cece Drake. There's a lot of lore here. Cece Drake is an older friend of Allison's who basically taught Allison how to Allison. Like, she taught Allison how to manipulate and hold things against people and like get what she wants, and just like basically like created a monster.
Okay, so I snuck into Emily's bedroom and stole some of her stationery.
Love it.
And I wrote, pigskin, a super steamy note. Think moist.
Okay, I just threw up a little in my mouth.
I told her that I was dating this guy, but I was having some seriously hot fantasies about her and needed to know if she felt the same way.
Mama's proud, but Emily is gonna crucify you.
Oh, please. She's clueless.
Okay, here is a really huge lore drop about Cece because it's very important to the story. It's also my least favorite part of the show. I hate this storyline. I think it's so weird. But basically, Cece is actually Allison's older sister, Allie and Jason's older sister. But they didn't know that they were related because when Cece was very young, she was sent to Radley, the like psych hospital of Rosewood, and she stayed there until she was 18. So let's get into that. So Cece is transgender. She was assigned male at birth, and Kenneth DeLaurentis, her father, was very against this. He hated her for it from a very young age when he started to notice it. When Cece was very young, probably like oh my god, the ages are it gets so messy. I'll say 5. When Cece is like 5, she accidentally almost drowns Allison in the bathroom when she was giving Allie a bath, but like, she was 5 years old, come on. Kenneth sees this as an opportunity to label Cece as unstable and send her to Radley. At Radley, Cece befriends a girl named Bethany Young who accepts Cece's identity as a woman, and they become very close. Jessica, the Dilaurentis' mother, takes Cece and Bethany on outings together, and they become like a little family unit. Like, they go horseback riding together and shit. Per Cece's request, Jessica starts buying identical outfits. Everything she buys Allison, she buys Cece a copy of it so that Cece can feel like she's living vicariously through Allison. Like, Allison had the life she never had. When Cece's about 13 years old, this is also really horrible writing-wise because she shouldn't be 13 here. She and Bethany sneak up to the roof of the sanitarium so that Cece can like dress up in her new skirts and dresses and shit and be like, do a little fashion show. Marianne Kavanaugh, a patient at Radley at the time, and actually Toby's mother, walks onto the roof, and Cece freaks out because she at this time is still living life as a boy. So Bethany comforts Cece and is like, it's okay, I'll handle it, I'll go talk to her. And Bethany goes over to Marianne and pushes her off the roof and kills her. Cece obviously starts freaking out and she's like, Bethany, what did you do? And Bethany's like, what did I do? You pushed her. Yeah, and Cece gets framed for killing Marianne Kavanaugh. Jessica Dilaurentis ends up having to pay Detective Darren Wilden to rule the death as a suicide. After this whole debacle, Cece is put on high security. She's not allowed to do any outings. She's not really allowed to see anybody. She's basically held up in her room. During this time, Jessica holds a funeral for Charles Dilaurentis and lets everyone believe that her son has died. So now Kenneth, her husband, fully convinced that their son has died and is gone. Jessica is fully taking care of Cece by herself. No one in the entire family knows that she's still alive and that she's a girl. She takes Cece back to Radley and enrolls her under the name Charlotte Dilaurentis. Once Cece is 18, she appeals to the board to let her go to UPenn, and the board approves it, and Cece ends up enrolling at UPenn. Cece uses this new freedom as means to reconnect with her old siblings, Jason and Allie, who were too young when she went to Radley to remember her at all. Cece shows up to picture day for the yearbook at Rosewood High and introduced herself to Jason as Cece Drake instead of Charlotte Dilaurentis. I've been calling her Cece. That's her like alias. Her name is actually Charlotte, but nobody calls her that except for her mother. But yeah, she chose the name Cece so that when Jason was talking about his new friend Cece, there would be no red flag in the parents' mind of like, oh, Charlotte, that's our daughter. This is the sus-ass part. Jason and Cece begin to date. During this time, she also becomes one of Allie's best friends. Jessica doesn't know that Jason's new girlfriend and Allie's new best friend Cece is her daughter Charlotte until the day they're leaving for their annual summer vacation at Cape May. Detective Wilden and Melissa Hastings, Spencer's older sister, were both in Cape May as well that summer. Allie was seeing Wilden on this trip and he almost gets her pregnant, which is so gross because she's like, what, 14, 15? And he's a cop? So he has to be like in his mid-20s, I'm sure. Anyways, during this time, Bethany from Radley ends up finding out that Jessica Dilaurentis is having an affair with Mr. Young, her father. Bethany becomes enraged and takes out all of her anger on Jessica and starts plotting. So Jenna moves to town in October 2008, around the same time that Allie gets the very first ever A text. When Jenna first moved to town, Allie like really liked her vibe and like went up to her and was like, hey, you should like be part of my friend group. And Jenna kind of declines Allie's offer and is like, no, I make my own friends. I don't need to be part of like your clique. This makes Allie furious. Like nobody ever turns her down. Like this was crazy. She was really gagged. And then Allie, like we never get the real details on this. We don't know if Allie blinded Jenna on purpose, but Allie does blind Jenna. She throws a cherry bomb in Jenna's garage while Jenna is inside of it and Jenna goes permanently blind. Now, because remember the tape I mentioned earlier, one of the NAT videos is Toby and Jenna hooking up and their step-siblings. Because Allie is with Ian, she knows about this and she uses this against Toby to make Toby take the fall for blinding Jenna. So Toby goes to like a juvie correctional facility sort of thing and Allie gets off scot-free. After this, Jenna starts dating Garrett Reynolds, another member of the NAT club. So I mentioned that Allie was seeing Wilden and Ian this summer, but she was also seeing another man in their 20s when she was 15. Allie was seeing Ezra Fitz, who was a student at Hollis College at this time. They met at a bar, and Allie said she was 21 when she was indeed, like, what, would she have been 14 at this time? Allie has this alter ego slash alias called Vivian Darkbloom, which is literally Allie in a dark wig and a red coat. She used to use this alias for fun because, like, Allie's air is lying. She loves lying. She loves making up stories and seeming mysterious and tragic. Like, that is her shit. Like, she loves that. So she used to just go out dressed up as a different person and just, like, make shit up and, like, talk to strangers and, like, make friends as Vivian. And she had, like, this whole other weird life. She was a weird kid. But when Allie starts getting threats from A, she actually starts using Vivian as, like a safety thing. Like, she starts, like, checking out hotel rooms and checking out books and stuff under Vivian so that whoever A is can't track Allison Dilaurentis. But Mona is actually smarter than Allie and clocks this immediately. Another piece of information that's important is this summer, the Dilaurentis' backyard was under construction. They were building a gazebo, but at this point in the summer, it was basically just a big plot of dirt in her backyard. And also, Allie and Spencer's backyards are connected. They're next door neighbors. So throughout the night, people are going back and forth between those two yards. Okay, that was so much lore. I'm sorry. This show is so long. There's 7 seasons of this stuff. I tried to, like, condense it and just say, like, what was important. And you're probably thinking, like, there's no way all of that was important. But there's just so much going on. But now we can actually get into the timeline. So let's get into it.
And now, ABC Family presents an exclusive first look at the most anticipated new series of this summer, Pretty Little Liars.
Okay, this is Labor Day weekend 2009. In the show, it's September 1st, but actually Labor Day weekend in 2009 was September 6th. Around 7:30 a.m., Allison wakes up in Hilton Head, South Carolina in a hotel room with Ian Thomas. While she's getting ready, she hears Ian answer the door, and it's Melissa. Melissa had followed them there and confronts Ian, telling him that she knows that he's been having an affair with Allison. They start to fight, and while this is going on, Allison goes onto Ian's laptop and downloads all of the NAT videos onto a thumb drive and leaves out the window. She thinks these videos are the key to shutting down A, because there's basically blackmail for everyone on there, so, like, she can blackmail anybody into, like, leaving her alone, basically. It's been almost a year of Allie getting threats from A. Remember, they started in October last year. Now it's September 2009. So she devises a plan to use the NAT videos and anything else to fully silence A. Like, tonight is the night that she's going to, like, end A's threats. Allie calls her pilot friend Duncan that she met as Vivian. Like, he knows her as Vivian. She calls him from Hilton Head and asks him to come pick her up and drop her off in a field in Philly called Daughtery's Landing, which becomes important in the show. Allie visits Jenna at the School for the Blind in Philadelphia and plays her the NAT Club video of her and Toby and tells her, this scene is so good, so iconic.
If I get one more threat, or you ever come back to Rosewood, I'll bury you.
And Allie's walking away feeling great. She's like, yeah, I just ended A. I knew it was Jenna. Like, I'm never gonna get a text again. Like, this torment can be in the past. And then as she's walking away, she gets a text that says, bitch can't see you, but I do. Tonight's the night I kill you. Ooh, chills. That's really scary. She knows now that Jenna could not have been A because she was literally, like, right next to Jenna when she got this text. So Allie's, like, feeling frustrated, and she goes back to Rosewood and rents a storage room, and she puts the flash drive with all of the NAT videos in her lunchbox in the storage unit, locks it up. Allie is now dropped off via taxi at her house where all of the girls are waiting for her, returning supposedly from her grandma's. Spencer notices, though, that she had a Hilton Head tag on her suitcase. The girls talk about their plans for the night. They're gonna go to Spencer's barn and drink and have a great time. And then all of the girls go back to their respective houses. Allie goes back to her house and puts on her iconic yellow top with the ruffles. And as she's turning around to look in the mirror, on the mirror, she sees "I'm everywhere and soon you'll be nowhere" from A, written in her lipstick. Ooh, very scary. Allie panics and decides she needs to like really lock in on trying to get like A done. So she goes to Emily's house and gives Emily a snow globe as a present. And Emily doesn't know this yet, but the key to the storage unit with all of the NAT videos is taped to the bottom. But Emily doesn't find that out for like multiple years. And later that night, over at Radley, Bethany Young decides, tonight is the night I'm going to kill Jessica Dilaurentis for sleeping with my father. She steals Cece's new clothes that Jessica just got her, which is the identical outfit to the one that Allie's just wearing. So now Bethany is dressed in that exact outfit, and she sneaks out of Radley. When Cece gets back to her room and sees her clothes missing and notices that Bethany is no longer at Radley, she puts the pieces together and is like, shit, like, I need to go stop her from killing my mom. So Cece sneaks out of Radley as well. Allie walks downstairs and her mom is on the phone with Radley. She's like receiving a call from Radley telling her that Bethany and Cece have both escaped. Jessica turns to Allie in a panic and is like, you can't go out tonight. You're not allowed to leave the house. Like, you're not allowed to go to your plans. And Allie simply doesn't listen, and she goes into Jessica's bag and steals her sleeping pills. Allie arrives at Spencer's barn and jump scares the girl, which is actually the very first scene of the entire show. She gets a call from Toby, but declines it. Allie starts making drinks for everybody, but unbeknownst to them, she's also putting sleeping pills in the drinks. And then she gives them to the girls and is like, yes, drink up, get lit. And then they all pass the fuck out because she drugged them. She is drugging them so that if she gets a text while they're asleep, she knows it's not one of her friends. That's like her plan. Toby keeps calling Allison and she finally picks up and tells him to come to Spencer's barn and meet her outside so they can talk. She's thinking he's gonna like chew her out, but also Allie kind of wants to see him just so that she can like talk to him about the A stuff and maybe shut him down if it is him. So they end up talking and Toby's not mad at Allie at all. He's actually like incredibly grateful because he reveals that like him and Jenna's relationship was not consensual and she was abusing him, and Allison making Toby take the fall actually got Toby away from Jenna, and his time in juvie was like really freeing for him because he had time away from Jenna to like cope and like become stronger, you know what I mean? He shows Allie his tattoo, which says 901 free at last, which is the date September 1st. This becomes really sus for Toby when the day that Allison dies / goes missing is tattooed on him. This interaction completely convinces Allie that Toby is not A, and it starts getting cold outside, so Toby gives Allison his sweater. This sweater becomes important later because Toby actually gets framed for killing Allison because the fibers of that sweater are found all around the crime scene. Really bad luck. Allie then gets a text from Ezra Fitz telling her to meet him outside her house. She walks over to her house and gets in his car where he's like really upset and he confronts her about being actually 15 and he didn't know that. Ezra breaks up with Allison and she gets out of the car and starts walking to the Kissing Rock to meet Ian. At the Kissing Rock, Ian is filming Allison for another NAT club video, and she says the very, very iconic line,
I know you want to kiss me.
So actually this video becomes important because this video low-key frames Ian to the girls of being the guy that killed Allison, because A gets a hold of this video and sends it to the girls and then crops it so it looks like he killed Allie, because they do this thing in the middle of the video where like they start like wrestling on the ground and then Allie's hand goes like lifeless and like hits the dirt and the girls are like, oh! Yeah, so Ian gets like super framed for killing Allie for a while. So Ian stops recording and he asks to end things with Allie because of the fight he and Melissa had earlier in Hilton Head. She understands, but she still has business to do and she's trying to figure out if he or Melissa are A. And so she tells Ian that if him or Melissa send her one more threat, she's going to expose them for being the NAT club. Ian doesn't know what Allie's talking about because he's not A. So he's kind of like, girl, whatever, you crazy. Leaves the Kissing Rock and goes to Allie's house, actually. We'll talk about that in a second. And then Allie goes back to Spencer's barn. Jenna, Garrett, and Ian meet up in Allison's bedroom to argue about the NAT club. They're talking about how like this got so much bigger than they thought it would be, and now they're scared that they're gonna get like exposed for being part of this, and they're all just like arguing. Jason is crossfaded and passed out somewhere downstairs, so he's not a part of this conversation. Ian is secretly recording this conversation as one of his like last NAT videos, like making themselves the subjects, like recording their own secret. Ian tells them all that Allison has all of the videos and he doesn't know where she put them. And Melissa storms in.
Where is she?
Oh my God. It's Melissa.
Garrett takes Jenna outside where the gazebo is under construction so that he can let like Ian and Melissa just like have it out and like not get involved. But on Allison's way back to Spencer's barn, she sees Jenna and Garrett in her backyard and she's like, oh.
You've got a really bad memory. I told you what would happen if you came back.
Jenna and Allison start getting into a like physical fight and Jenna gets pushed to the ground where she finds Spencer's old field hockey stick on the ground and she picks it up and tries to swing it at Allie. Garrett stops Jenna and then Allison confronts them about the NIT videos and being in her bedroom and basically is like, I know everything and I can take you guys down. And Jenna screams, do something, shut her up. Garrett swings the field hockey stick at Allison, but she ducks down and he hits a tree, making a really loud noise. But Jenna can't see, so she doesn't know what's going on.
Is she dead? Garrett? Garrett, is she dead?
I took care of it. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
Jenna thinks until like season 3 or 4 that Garrett fully killed Allison and he fully goes to jail for it. He goes to jail for killing Allison. Crazy. Allie goes back to the barn finally where Spencer is actually awake and waiting for her because Spencer's so wired on amphetamines that the sleeping pills couldn't get her. And they go into Spencer's living room and they start fighting about Ian. Allie's just like really annoyed with Spencer and is like, just forget it. Like, I don't want to talk about this right now. And Allie goes into the backyard. Spencer follows her and picks up a shovel and she gets really mad at Allison and she goes to swing at Allison, but she misses and she trips and the pills fall out of her pockets. And so now Allison knows that that's why the sleeping pills didn't work on Spencer. We learn later that Cece is actually hiding in the backyard and she's watching this entire interaction go down. Allie comforts Spencer and is like, I'm not going to tell anybody about the drugs. You just need to go back to the barn and sleep it off. Spencer makes her way back to the barn, dragging the shovel behind her that she tried to just hit Allie with. Spencer's older sister, Melissa, actually sees, she didn't see the argument. She doesn't know that Allison is still alive. She just sees Spencer dragging a shovel. Garrett drops Jenna off at her house and Jenna's like really scared and she's like, we need to cover our tracks. So they come up with a plan to slip a note into drunkenly passed out Jason's pocket that says, I know what you did. So that when he wakes up in the morning and he was fully blackout last night and he realizes his sister is dead and then he finds a note in his pocket that says, I know what you did, that he'll take the blame for it. So this is all crazy because Garrett didn't kill Allison and to his knowledge, Allie is fully alive right now. So why would he go back to the Dilaurentis house to slip a note into Jason's pocket when he thinks that they're all just gonna wake up in the morning and Allison would still be there? Anyways, whatever. At this point, when they reveal that in the show, Allison is still technically dead. But yes, it does work, and Jason does think that he killed Allie for a long time. When Garrett is going through the Dilaurentis backyard to put the note in Jason's pocket, he comes across Allison and Byron Montgomery, Aria's dad, arguing. Allison is threatening Byron to expose his affair with Meredith, his student, if he stops paying her blackmail money. He refuses to entertain Allison and he just begins to leave. But before he leaves, he sees Melissa storm out of the Dilaurentis house on the phone with somebody saying, do I have to call 911 to get your attention? We never get an exact confirmation who this is, but I think it's most definitely, it has to be Wilden, because why else would she say, do I have to call 911? Because he's a cop. You know what I mean? I think it's Wilden. Allie gets back to the barn where Spencer is finally passed out and just sits and waits to see if another A text will come. When no text comes, Allie is like, okay, I did it. I defeated A, whoever it was. Maybe it was Jenna, Ian, Melissa, one of my friends, like whoever it was, I silenced them tonight. Like I beat A. So she makes her way back to her house. As she's making her way to her house, she is like approaching the door, and right next to the door there's this window, and she sees her mom looking through the window looking at her, and out of nowhere Allie is hit in the back of the head with a huge rock and she goes unconscious. We find out later that Cece saw a blonde girl in a yellow top and black pants approaching the Dilaurentis house looking at Jessica. And obviously in Cece's mind, that's Bethany. Because remember, Bethany is dressed identical to Allie. And Cece thinks, oh my god, Bethany's about to kill my mom. So Cece picks up a boulder and smashes Allie over the head with it. Jessica and Cece, thinking Allison is now dead and Cece killed her, start to bury Allison in the big plot of dirt where the gazebo is under construction. But Allison is not dead. She is just unconscious. But until Jessica's death in season 4, she fully believes that Cece killed Allie that night, and she keeps that shit a secret. Jessica calls Darren Wilden and pays him off to say he picked Cece up on the highway not far from Radley, and that she had nothing to do with what happened in Rosewood that night. Once Allie regains consciousness under the dirt, she like starts to claw her way out, and she sticks her hand up out of the dirt. And at this same time, Mrs. Grunwald pulls up to Allison's house and knows she's in trouble because, you know, she's a psychic, whatever. Silly ass plot line. So I'm editing and I realized that I forgot to explain who Mrs. Grunwald is. Basically, she was a house mother at a sorority at a college nearby, and Allison was calling her and talking to her the entire summer of 2009, trying to figure out who was threatening her. Like, Mrs. Grunwald was trying to, like, use her psychic powers to figure out who A was. But they formed, like, a little friendship that summer, and that's who Mrs. Grunwald is.
I'm sorry I lied to you, but I did it to protect her.
From who?
She was calling me that summer to find out.
In a sorority house? It was you.
She was afraid. And she was right to be.
Mrs. Grunwald grabs Allie's hand and pulls her out of the dirt, and she sees that Allie's head is like messed up, like bleeding, like blood everywhere, and like she might have breathed in some dirt. So Mrs. Grunwald is like, we need to go to the hospital, get in my car. So they drive to the hospital, and Mrs. Grunwald runs into the hospital, leaving Allie in the car to like go get some help. And when she returns with the doctor, Allie is gone. Mona ends up in the Dilaurentis' backyard right after Allie and Miss Grunwald just left, and she sees what seems to be Allison in her yellow top walking to her house. So Mona picks up the shovel that Spencer just dropped and hits this girl in the back of the head super hard. She falls face down, and Mona flees the scene. Melissa runs into the backyard, finds Bethany Young's body face down in the dirt with a bloody head and a bloody shovel next to it. Melissa obviously thinks this is Allison, saw her sister arguing with Allison, and saw Spencer with the shovel. So Melissa's like, my sister killed Allison. I have to like help her. Like, I can't just leave Allison's body here. Like, I need to bury Allison and get rid of the evidence to help Spencer. So Melissa can't bear to look at Allie's face, so she pushes her into the open pit that's there from where Allison just climbed out. She pushes her in and buries her. So we know from the autopsy that Bethany was not dead when she was buried. She died from suffocating on the dirt. So Mona did not kill Bethany. It was actually Melissa burying the body that killed her. Allie is walking along the side of the road away from the hospital when Mona pulls up, seeing the back of Allison's head bloody. Mona is thinking like, oh, when I just hit Allison in the back of the head with the shovel, she didn't die and she ran away. Mona tells Allie to get in her car, and Mona drives her to the Lost Woods Resort, which becomes like a very iconic spot. Allie rents out room number 1 under the name Vivian Darkbloom, and in room number 2 is actually Mona's A layer. Allie tells Mona everything. Like, Allie tells Mona everything, and this is why A knows everything. This is why A knows all of the girls' secrets. This is why A knows all of Allie's secrets. Like, Allie just like had a breaking point, was like, I just need to like confide in someone and tell them everything that's happened to me this summer. So Mona is the keeper. Mona, who is A, convinces Allison that whoever hit her in the back of the head with the rock is A, and if A was willing to try to kill Allie, then what's stopping them from trying again? Mona tells Allie that the safest thing she can do is run away from Rosewood and convince A and everyone that she is dead and never be seen again. Allie finally goes to sleep, and Mona goes to her A layer and plays with her little Allison doll until Allison wakes up in the morning. Allie puts on her Vivian Darkbloom disguise, and to repay Mona for everything that she did for her last night, Allie gives Mona like all the advice that she needs to be popular.
Look at yourself. Ditch the glasses and the barrettes. Have Kim at the salon do your hair and ask for Cindy at the makeup counter. Buy everything she tells you to and never go to school without your face on. Now burn those knee socks. Tell Manny at the boutique that Vivian sent you. You don't have to be a loser, Mona.
Thanks, Allie.
Allison drives away at the crack of dawn, not to be seen for like 3 years, and Mona begins her new life, free of Allie and with all of the tools she needs to take Allie's place as the most popular girl in school. Construction workers come to the Dilaurentis house and pour cement over where Bethany Young's body is now buried. Jason wakes up and finds the note in his pocket. Hannah, Aria, and Emily wake up in the barn not remembering anything from the night before and realizing Spencer and Allison are gone.
Whoa. Where's Allie and Spencer? We don't know.
Allie? She's gone.
What do you mean she's gone?
I've looked everywhere for her. I think I heard her scream.
Okay, I'm back almost a week and a half later since I was last filming because I need an outro. I've been struggling to come up with what to say about the show. The funny thing about this video is that if you haven't seen the show and you watch this, you're probably like, that is so much. There's so much going on. But the gag is that everything that I just talked about happens a year before the pilot episode, and then there's 7 seasons. I didn't even get into like the main plot points of the show. Like, Ezra and Aria get married. Cece is the second A. Spencer and Toby are actually like a huge couple in the show. When Cece's A, she frames Allison for murder, kidnaps the girls, and keeps them in an underground bunker designed to look exactly like their childhood bedrooms where she tortures them. Why is this show so important to me? Why does this show have so much relevancy 15 years later? Pretty Little Liars was just an insanely impactful show, not just on me and my childhood friends, but on pop culture at large in the 2010s. I think it's such a great time capsule of fashion and hair and texting culture in this Twilight era that is so nostalgic to people now. I think mine and everyone else's biggest critique of the show is its wasted potential. The first season is so strong and sets up such a good basis for a TV show. By seasons 2 and 3, they really got the swing of things, and it was a cultural phenomenon. Around that time, they became obsessed with topping what they had done before. Shocking the viewers was the biggest goal in mind, and not finishing what they had started. It left them in an endless cycle of ridiculousness and jumping the shark over and over and over. I think the show's biggest failure is that the premise and setup are so good that the audience's imagination ended up being better than what the writers could come up with themselves. It also didn't help that it seems like the writers had no plan whatsoever, and every episode felt like they were pivoting to undo a mess that they made last episode with a mystery that they made up and they don't know the answer to. Besides the show's many downfalls, it still gave us so many iconic moments, and the buzz at that time was very real.
Pretty Little Liars!
The last season and a half of the show adds Pretty Little Liars to the long list of shows that went up in flames after the writers had no idea how to write an ending. It's so bad that on my often rewatches, I've only seen season 7 3 times. I love this show, and I remember the letdown that the series finale was. Me and my best friend planned our entire day around the series finale, and we were so excited, and it came on, and we sat in silence, and we watched the entire thing, and then when it ended, we just stared at each other in confusion and disappointment. In the end, the mess that is the last half to a quarter of the show left a sour taste in audiences' mouths and clouded the legacy of Pretty Little Liars. The cheap spin-offs and reboots that are so desperately grabbing for the buzz the show generated in its early years won't ever come close to what the original did, because they don't have what the original had. Hope and good timing. It feels like the world doesn't need Pretty Little Liars anymore. Or maybe they just don't know how to make it anymore. I think what lives on in the fans' hearts and what keeps the show alive even today, why I'm talking about it in 2025, is the love for the characters and the mystery and the world of Rosewood. That and it being damn entertaining TV.